Welcome to the Platform Engineering Playbook podcast, where everything you hear is built, reviewed, and improved by AI, by me, and by you, the listener. This show keeps me, and hopefully you, up to speed on the latest in platform engineering, SRE, DevOps, and production engineering. It's a living experiment in how AI can help us track, explain, and discuss the fast-moving world of infrastructure. Every episode is open source. If you've got something to add, correct, or challenge, head to platform-engineering-playbook.com. You'll find all the content and a link to the GitHub repo. Open a pull request, join the conversation, and make the playbook smarter. Let's get into it.
Today, we're tackling something that affects every platform team. How do you actually measure developer productivity? But first, let's check the pulse of platform engineering. Enterprise AI security just got serious. Iterate.ai launched AgentOne, the first enterprise-grade solution specifically designed to sandbox and audit AI agent activity. If you're worried about developers using AI coding assistants and exposing your codebase to data leaks, this addresses that head-on. AWS dropped durable functions for Lambda, stateful logic directly in Lambda code, managing state and retry logic without incurring costs during wait times. This changes the game for multi-step workflows. And Capital One shared how they cut tracing data by 70% with OpenTelemetry. Real enterprise optimization story worth reading if you're dealing with observability costs. Now, let's talk about measuring what matters. Alex, DORA metrics have become the gold standard for measuring DevOps performance, but there's growing recognition that they're not the complete picture.
Right. And before we talk about what comes after DORA, let's make sure everyone understands what DORA actually is, because I still meet teams who've heard the term but don't really know how it works.
So let's start from the beginning. DORA stands for DevOps Research and Assessment. It originated from the State of DevOps reports that started at Puppet Labs and later moved to Google Cloud. The key researcher behind it was Dr. Nicole Forsgren.
And the core insight from years of research was this: you can measure DevOps performance with just 4 metrics. These became known as the 4 key metrics, or DORA metrics.
Let's walk through them. The first is deployment frequency. How often does your team deploy code to production? Elite teams deploy multiple times per day. Low performers might deploy monthly.
Second is lead time for changes. This measures the time from when code is committed to when it's running in production. Elite teams do this in less than a day. Low performers can take a month or more.
Third is change failure rate. What percentage of deployments cause a failure in production that requires a rollback or fix? Elite teams sit around 5%. Low performers can hit 40%.
And fourth is mean time to recovery, or MTTR. When something does break, how quickly can you restore service? Elite teams recover in less than an hour. Low performers can take days.
The 2024 DORA report actually refined that fourth metric. They renamed it Failed Deployment Recovery Time to be more specific about measuring software deployment failures, not all incidents.
And here's the big insight from 10 years of DORA research. Throughput and stability are not trade-offs. Teams that deploy more frequently actually have lower failure rates and faster recovery times. Speed and quality go together.
The 2024 report surveyed of over 39,000 professionals globally. They found that 75% now use AI tools daily. Interestingly, AI shows a 7.5% improvement in documentation quality and a 3.4% in code quality. But here's the catch.
The same report found a 1.5% reduction in overall delivery performance and a 7.2% decrease in delivery stability when AI adoption increases. Individual gains aren't translating to organizational improvements yet.
And the 2025 report replaced the traditional low, medium, high, and elite performance categories with 7 distinct team archetypes. More nuanced, but also more complex to interpret.
So DORA gives us a solid foundation. But here's the problem. DORA measures delivery performance. It doesn't measure developer experience.
What do you mean by that?
DORA can tell you how fast your pipeline is. It can't tell you if your developers are burning out running it. Teams can hit elite DORA numbers while their engineers are miserable, drowning in technical debt, and constantly interrupted.
What specifically does DORA miss?
Developer satisfaction and well-being, cognitive load and burnout risk, collaboration quality, time spent in flow state, how effective your onboarding is, and the business impact beyond just shipping code.
There's also the gaming problem. Any metric you measure can be gamed. Teams can optimize for DORA numbers without actually improving.
Exactly. So researchers developed new frameworks to fill these gaps. The first major one was SPACE, introduced in 2021.
And interestingly, Dr. Nicole Forsgren, the same researcher behind DORA, was one of the authors, along with researchers from Microsoft and the University of Victoria.
SPACE is an acronym for 5 dimensions of developer productivity. S is for satisfaction and well-being. Are developers happy, fulfilled, at risk of burnout?
P is for performance, not just speed, but quality of code, reliability of systems, and impact on customers.
A is for activity, the volume of work, commits, pull requests, code reviews, deployments. This overlaps with DORA.
C is for communication and collaboration. How well are teams working together? What's the quality of code reviews? How quickly do people get unblocked?
And E is for efficiency and flow. Can developers focus deeply without constant interruptions? Are they spending time on valuable work or fighting tooling?
The key recommendation from the SPACE authors is to track at least 3 metrics across different dimensions. And at least one should be a perceptual measure, meaning surveys that capture how developers actually feel.
There's a symbolic change worth noting. Microsoft and GitHub recently renamed their joint research group from the Developer Velocity Lab to the Developer Experience Lab. Experience, not just velocity.
So we have DORA for delivery performance, SPACE for a multidimensional view. What came next?
In 2023, another framework emerged called DevEx. It focuses on the lived experience of developers and the friction they encounter daily.
DevEx distills developer experience into 3 dimensions. First, feedback loops. How quickly do developers get information about their work? Can they test locally? How fast is CI? How long do code reviews take?
Second, cognitive load. How much mental effort is required to complete tasks? Are systems well documented? Are there too many tools to juggle? Is the code base understandable?
Third, flow state. Can developers focus deeply? Are they constantly interrupted by meetings, Slack, and context switching? Do they have blocks of uninterrupted time?
DevEx is less about metrics and more about identifying friction points. Where are developers getting stuck? What's slowing them down? What's frustrating them?
And now we have the latest evolution, the DX Core 4. This attempts to unify DORA, SPACE, and DevEx into a single framework.
The DX Core 4 organizes everything into 4 dimensions: speed, effectiveness, quality, and impact. Speed includes diffs per engineer, meaning pull request or merge requests, along with lead time and deployment frequency from DORA.
Effectiveness is where it gets interesting. The key metric is the Developer Experience Index, or DXI. It's a 14-question research-backed survey. Also included are regrettable attrition, measuring developer churn, and time to 10th PR, which measures onboarding effectiveness.
Quality includes change failure rate and recovery time from DORA, plus perceived software quality from surveys.
And impact frames everything in business terms: percentage of time spent on new capabilities versus maintenance, initiative progress, actual return on investment.
The DX Core 4 has been tested with over 300 organizations. They report 3 to 12% increases in engineering efficiency and 14% more time spent on feature development.
But there are legitimate concerns. The DXI survey is proprietary. There's heavy dependence on perception-based data, and metrics like diffs per engineer can encourage gaming if not handled carefully. So with all these frameworks, what should platform teams actually do?
Start where you are. If you're not measuring anything, start with DORA. It's well understood, has great tool support, and gives you a baseline.
If you already have DORA and want more, add space dimensions. Specifically, start with a developer satisfaction survey. Quarterly is enough.
Keep it short.
Measure cognitive load indicators. How often do developers context switch? How many tools do they need to use daily? How much documentation do they need to hunt for?
Track flow state signals. How many hours of uninterrupted deep work per week? What's the meeting load? How often are people getting pinged?
And here are the mistakes to avoid. Don't tie these metrics to individual performance reviews. That's a recipe for gaming.
Don't cherry pick. If you only measure what looks good, you're not measuring reality.
Avoid survey fatigue. Quarterly, surveys maximum. More frequent than that, and response rates collapse.
And don't ignore qualitative feedback. Numbers without context mislead. A satisfaction score of 3.5 means nothing without understanding why.
For platform engineering specifically, these metrics validate what we build. Golden paths reduce cognitive load. Self-service reduces feedback loop time. Good abstractions enable flow state.
Internal developer portals are measurably improving all dimensions. Service catalogs reduce cognitive load. Scaffolding templates improve time to 10th PR. Self-service provisioning speeds up feedback loops.
The connection to platform engineering is direct. If your platform isn't improving developer experience metrics, you need to rethink what you're building.
So where does this leave us?
DORA was revolutionary. It gave us a common language for delivery performance, but it's not enough by itself.
Space expanded our view to include satisfaction, collaboration, and efficiency. DevEx focused on the friction developers actually experienced, and DX Core 4 is trying to unify everything.
The framework you choose matters less than the commitment to measure thoughtfully. Track multiple dimensions. Include perceptual data. Don't game the numbers.
The best metric is the one that changes behavior for the better. DORA changed how we think about delivery. These newer frameworks are changing how we think about the people doing the delivering.
Fast pipelines don't matter if your developers are burned out. Elite DORA scores don't matter if no one wants to work on your team.
Measure what matters. And remember that behind every metric is a human being trying to do their best work.
That's it for this episode of the Platform Engineering Playbook podcast. Every topic, transcript, and summary you just heard lives out in the open at platform-engineering-playbook.com, where anyone can suggest updates or add insights through GitHub. If you've got thoughts, fixes, or new ideas, open a PR. And if you enjoyed the episode, rate us on your favorite podcast platform. We're always shooting for 5 stars. While you're there, give the project a star on GitHub. It helps others find and contribute to the Platform Engineering Playbook. This podcast is generated by AI, reviewed by AI, me and you, a community of engineers keeping our craft sharp. Thanks for listening, and see you next time inside the Platform Engineering Playbook.